is Shannon. My pronouns are they, them. And today we have a 20 to 30 minute yin practice with a little bit of meditation at the end. So, props today. I'm seated on a bolster because that's how I'm more comfortable, but unnecessary. If you like, you can sit directly on the mat. I have blocks just in case I need them today, but we're mostly working on a no to low prop option. And I also have a blanket that I might be using for a variation for toe stand. So it's not necessary, it just increases sensation a little bit. So whatever is comfortable for you. And we'll also have the option to kneel for toe stands. So if you don't want it behind the ankle, you might like it under the knees. So, but otherwise, here we are. So we'll take a few moments to come into a comfortable seated position for our grounding. I like Baddha Konasana, soles of the feet together, knees apart. Gives me lots of space for the belly, but you can sit however you're comfortable, cross-legged, wide-legged, whatever feels good. We'll bring the hands somewhere against the body. And we'll take a few deep breaths. Maybe in through the nose, out through the mouth if that's helpful for us. Otherwise, we can breathe however is helpful for us. And when we're ready, we'll find our natural breath, whatever that looks like for us. We might take a moment to silently name the inhale and exhale. And when we're ready, we might release our awareness into the rest of the body. So maybe taking a moment, noticing if there's anywhere that feels tight or sore, or anywhere that feels like it really needs to move or stretch, and we can make note of these areas so that we can be as kind to ourselves as possible today. And then when we're ready, we might begin to notice the connection between ourselves and the object that we're resting against today. So maybe through the sit bones, the backs of the legs, anywhere that we're making contact. Noticing that connection between ourselves and the object, and not just between ourselves and our object, but between ourselves and the floor, between ourselves and the earth beneath us, no matter how far beneath us that earth is today. We might allow ourselves to rest against the unconditional support of the earth below. Allowing ourselves to be heavy, to be held. Taking a moment to notice if we're holding tension through the muscles of the face, maybe on our exhale, releasing through the muscles of the face, releasing the jaw, finding some space between the biting surfaces of the mouth, letting the shoulders be heavy, falling away from the ears. Releasing through the hips, through the legs, through the feet. Really transferring the weight of the day to the earth below so that we can be as we are in this moment. We might begin to find length through the spine, up through the top of the head. If we like, we might begin to slowly blink the eyes open. And we'll start with a few arm circles for today's yin practice. So we'll bring the hands down to the side. Inhale, reaching the arms up. And exhale down. Beautiful. We might add the neck in, gazing up on the inhale. And down on the exhale. Beautiful. This time as we come up, we might choose to interlace the fingers. Maybe turn the palms up towards the ceiling. Take a nice long stretch. And on our exhale, we might bring the arms forward, noticing the sensation around the shoulder blades, maybe, or anywhere that we feel strong sensation. And then we'll bring the arms back up. Still interlaced if that feels good. If not, we can have the arms with the palms facing each other. And on our exhale, we might start to stretch towards the right side of the body. Noticing the sensation through the left side. When we're ready, we might come back through center. Find one more nice long stretch upward, and then maybe over towards the left side this time. Only going as far as is comfortable. We want to notice sensation. We don't have to go any further than that. And when we're ready, we'll come back through center. We're going to come through cat-cow. So shining the heart forward, maybe gazing up if that feels good. And then on our exhale, rounding the spine, bringing the shoulders and arms forward for cat. Beautiful inhaling up for cow. And exhaling for cat. We'll go through one more. Inhale up. And exhale down. Beautiful. We'll come back through center. We can release the arms down and take any movements here that feel good. Beautiful. So if we aren't already, we might bring our legs into butterfly for Baddha Konasana. So soles of the feet together, knees apart. If we like, we can also have a block beneath the knee for support, especially for feeling strain through the inner line of the leg or maybe outer line of the leg. Or we can use blankets. But we'll take a moment here, ground down through the sit bones, find that length through the spine again. We can bring our hands to our sides, and we'll take 3 breaths here. Again, maybe silently noticing the inhale and exhale. Beautiful. From here, we're going to take the arms out into a T, reaching, opening through the heart space, maybe bringing the hands far enough back that we can't see the fingers in the periphery vision, if that's accessible to us. And then when we're ready, we're going to bring the left hand over towards the right arm. We might bring the right arm underneath the left. Take a few moments here. In this eagle arms variation, if you prefer eagle arms, you can bring the hands up into eagle arms. And then when we're ready, we're going to ground down through the sit bones and begin to hinge forward slightly. So we're only looking for that bit of sensation through the back line. So don't feel like you have to come into a deep fold if that's not what you're feeling today. If it is what you're feeling today, go for it. We're going to be holding this for about a minute. So noticing our inhale and exhale. Noticing where we might be holding tension, where we might be feeling a stretch or release. And continuing to breathe. I know sometimes as I hold the position, I find myself sinking a bit deeper into it. If that is happening to you, no worries. It's just kind of the muscles releasing and relaxing. If it isn't happening, no worries. It just means you're exactly where you need to be today. Beautiful. When we're ready, we'll ground down through the sit bones and slowly start to make our way back up to straight. We'll release the arms and open, take a nice wide stretch, and then we're going to reverse. So we'll bring the opposite hand to the opposite shoulder, opposite arm underneath. Beautiful. Taking a moment here, grounding down through the sit bones. If we like, of course, we can stay here, or we can begin to hinge forward. And remember, it's your practice. At any point you want to release the eagle arms, bring your hands down to the floor, feel free to do that. And when we're ready, we can ground down through the sit bones and slowly begin. Press our way up, taking a nice wide stretch. And when we're ready, releasing the arms down. We'll bring the legs out into a wide-legged position. Oh, I know it's nice to let the sides out after that. So from here, we're going to come into a wide-legged forward fold. So if we like, we can use blocks, or we can come with our hands to the floor or against the legs. If we're using blocks, we'll place them right in front of us. Otherwise, hands against legs. If we like, we can point the toes up towards the ceiling for more sensation through the back line. I'm going to bring my belly between the legs, and I'll slowly begin to hinge forward at the hips, walking my hands down the legs, down the floor, or onto my blocks. And we'll come again as far forward as is comfortable. Taking a few deep breaths. We're going to hold this here again for about a minute, minute and a half. With our yin postures, we tend to hold these a bit longer to give ourselves time to really relax into the stretch. So using gravity to assist us, allowing ourselves the time that we need to release within the posture. The other thing I really love about the length of time that we tend to hold postures in yin is that it gives us time to notice all of those sensations. So maybe noticing how the back feels, how the bum and hips feel, how the back line of the legs feel. It brings a lot more awareness to where we're engaging or releasing during our postures. Remembering to breathe. Beautiful. When we're ready, we can bring ground down through the hands, slowly begin to press up as we walk the hands back towards the body, whether it's against the legs, against the mat, or the blocks, until we find ourselves in a seated position. Beautiful. So from here, we have the option to practice toe squat. So I'm going to demo that and give some options for that as well. So for the first version I'll be showing us, we have the option to kneel. So if we like, we can have a blanket beneath the knees or a bolster beneath the knees if that's more comfortable. So I'm also going to take a blanket and roll this in case I choose my second option, just so that I have everything ready for me. So the second option will be a prone option on our belly, and we might use a rolled blanket beneath the ankles. We don't have to. This is just an option to bring more sensation into it. So I'm going to set that to the side for now. So for my toe squat, I'm going to come into a kneeling position. Again, either kneeling on a blanket. I'm going to choose the bolster because my knee is a little sore today. Oops. So for me, it's usually helpful to come through tabletop first, just to position my knees without putting too much pressure on them. And then to curl the toes under. And then I'm going to make my way up. You can use a block if that's helpful. The other thing I like about blocks is it gives us the option to choose how much pressure we're putting on the knees and on the ankles. So we can come up and then kind of sit back with the toes curled under. So this is option 1. And I'm going to demo what we'll be transitioning into just so that folks know. So we're going to be holding this for about a minute and a half, and then we'll transition into an ankle stretch where we bring the soles, I'm sorry, not the soles, but the tops of the feet down and then kind of lean back. And again, we can use our blocks for this as well to put a bit of pressure on the ankle. Now, for me, that's not horribly comfortable. That's why I'm going to move into my second option so y'all can see other options that we have. So I'm going to move my bolster off, and I'm going to bring my, this way, bring my rolled blanket onto the mat. And I'm going to place that kind of right beneath the ankles. And then I have the option again to curl the toes under. So for my upper body, I can come into kind of Sphinx with the elbows beneath the shoulders, or I can rest my head on a block or pillow. And then just kind of ground down through the toes and press the heels back. And we get a very similar sensation without the pressure on the knees. So we'll be holding this again for about another minute now, if we've already been holding them kneeling. And we'll take a few deep breaths. Allow ourselves to ground down through the sole, through the pads of the toes, anywhere else that might be touching the mat. And again, we can focus on sensation or breath, whatever is most comfortable for us. Beautiful. So whichever position we're in, we'll start to bring the tops of the feet against the mat. So if we're using our rolled blanket, we have the option to maybe kind of use our feet to position the blanket beneath the ankles, or kind of just south of the ankles on the foot. And then kind of press down into the blanket. So we're getting a bit of stretch through the top line of the legs, but without as much pressure. And we'll hold this for about another minute, minute and a half. I often feel like for those of us in larger bodies, it can be difficult to put so much pressure around the ankles. Some of us have great ankles and yay, but I do not. So for me, it's really helpful to kind of have this alternative version where I can still get some of the sensation, some of the stretch, but I don't have to worry about the amount of pressure either on my knees or on my ankles. Especially if we tend to be hypermobile, we don't need that amount of pressure to get a little bit of a stretch. Beautiful. So if we are kneeling, we can come down through tabletop. We might remove any props that we have on the mat. If we deal with something like plantar fasciitis, we might choose to keep our blanket roll beneath the ankle, just for a little extra support there. Or we might kind of move it right off the mat with our feet. And then once we've come through tabletop, we can lower ourselves onto our bellies, and we're going to find ourselves in Sphinx. So for Sphinx, we are in a prone position or belly down position. We're going to notice the grounding through the pelvis, through the legs, maybe through the tops of the feet, and through the hands. We'll bring the elbows beneath the shoulders and the fingertips straight forward from the elbows if that's comfortable. If this feels like a bit intense, we can, of course, always walk the elbows forward of the shoulders, and that will give us a little bit less of a back bend. So whatever position we're in, we're going to hold this for another minute or so. Again, noticing where we feel grounding, where we feel connection to the mat, to the earth, and allowing the earth to hold us. Allowing ourselves to rest against that secure foundation. And when we're ready, we might begin to transition to seal. So for seal, we're going to press the palms of the hands into the mat and then slowly extend the arms, lifting through the shoulders, shining the heart forward. If we tend to hyperextend and kind of dump pressure into the joints, we might find a little bend in the elbow. See if we can pull the shoulders away from the ears. And we'll be holding this again for another minute. But if it starts to feel uncomfortable, we can lower back through Sphinx and then come back up. For me, I have to constantly remain conscious of keeping my ears pulled away from my shoulders. Otherwise, I tend to end up with kind of dumping a lot of the pressure into the shoulder joint. You might feel that somewhere else or not at all. And whenever we're ready, we can come back down through the elbows. And from here, we can transition into our final resting position. So if we like, we can come into a stomach lying Shavasana, maybe by grabbing a blank or a block or a blanket or pillow, placing it beneath the head, letting the head rest against the mat or the hands, whatever is comfortable. Or we might choose to roll onto our back, maybe bringing our blanket roll or grabbing a bolster and placing it beneath the knees. So whatever feels most comfortable for you. And we'll take a few moments here. Maybe again, connecting to the breath, noticing our inhale and exhale. Maybe breathing in through the nose, out through the mouth, if that is helpful. We can release with a sigh or vocalization. Letting ourselves rest heavily against the mat, against the earth beneath us. We'll take the next minute or two for ourselves to find our own path to rest, whether that's through watching the breath, noticing sensation to the body, or releasing into the earth. When we're ready, if we like, we of course can stay here as long as we like, but if we'd rather, we might start to notice the sensations in the body, maybe adding a little bit of movement, wiggling the fingers, the toes, the head and neck, taking any movement that feels good, and maybe making our way up into a seated position. If we like, we can bring the hands against the body anywhere that feels comfortable or into heart center. And we'll take 3 breaths together from wherever we are. We might take a moment to thank ourselves for our practice today, for making space for movement and rest. And I'd like to thank you so much for sharing your practice with me.